How's it going, everybody? I think it's been about a month since I made a video. I've been kind of busy doing a lot of woodworking stuff, and I moved like my garage to a new garage and trying to get that all set up. But for today's video, I have 3 jobs that I want to look at today, and I think 2 of them are advertised as junior software engineer jobs with kind of questionable requirements and salary ranges and things. We'll take a look at those, and then one of them is just a remote job, which I'll explain that. So let's get right into the jobs and let's check them out. These are just, hold up, I'm going to make myself small. We're going to the corner, boys. All right. These are just on Indeed. You can look them up. I'm literally just searching like remote software engineer, filtering by remote. We got the first one here. So this is at a company called DeFi Medical. Doesn't have the best star rating on Indeed, whatever that's worth for you. First thing here, salary range of $45,000 to $65,000 a year. This is in Tampa, Florida, and it's remote, so you don't have to be in Florida. But I mean, if you are in Florida and you are expecting a salary of $45,000 for a software development position, you're gonna have a tough time, because after this past year, you know, literally the cost of everything has risen. The cost of gas, housing, rent, food, pretty much everything has increased. And I live in Florida, so I can see, I literally see what's happening, and I see what rent has increased too, particularly around this area. And if you're making $45,000 as a software developer, you're gonna have a tough time. And you shouldn't even consider that as an offer if you are a junior developer. It's way, way below industry average for a junior developer position. And Tampa is not the most expensive city, but it is an expensive city to live in. And even the neighboring areas around Tampa are also expensive just because everybody's moving down here. So it's it's just driving prices of everything up. So definitely don't even consider $45,000. $65,000 is pretty much the base of where you want to be after everything, after salary, bonus, everything. So definitely, for sure, if you even consider this, try to get $65,000. But $45,000 is ridiculous. That's out of the question. Especially for the experience, because they want you to have at least 2 years C# experience. Going along with that is usually ASP.NET, Core, all that stuff. They want you to know, some JS front end. I think Power BI. I'm gonna make something. I don't. To be honest, I don't know what that is. I think it's a Microsoft thing, but I could be wrong. And whatever Sync Fusion products is, I have no idea. And experience using Microsoft Azure. So if you know all this for $45,000, that's not good. Don't take that. 100% don't take that. And I probably, based off the reviews, I would be highly suspect of this. We can just go to the reviews if we want to. Not somewhere I looked at long term, Hold on. They do not give raises and are expected to juggle multiple departments. Everything's great until you get to management. Yeah, I mean, it's questionable for sure. There's a lot of low reviews on this. And you just got to check, because what's going to happen is you are going to get to the interview and they're going to ask you salary expectations, and you can say something that falls into this range. But when you actually get the offer, it's probably going to be floating around in the middle, which is not good either. So anyway, that's what I think about this one. I wouldn't apply to this. The next one here is a junior software developer position. It's National Western Life. Does it say where this? Austin, Texas. And I think it's remote. Should be. This should be in bold right here. This should be highlighted in bold. Everything that it can use. So it says ability to read and understand complex legacy code systems. Now, when you read this right here, this should be the top thing: knowledge, skills, abilities. They should take this and put it in highlight and put it on the top of the posting, because that is the key to this whole job posting. Whenever it mentions legacy code systems, it's not going to be in any modern version of .NET. it's not going to be any modern version of C#. It's going to be some antiquated language, maybe like Visual Basic. And I've even been asked if I have known Cold Fusion in a job posting that advertises .NET because it had a bullet point like this. I applied to somewhere where, I can't remember where, it was advertised as a .NET, C#, pretty standard stuff, everything that you would expect to come out of a .NET position. Made it past the recruiter interview, and the recruiter who worked at the company, he told me, he's like, yeah, this is a new product, you're going to be contributing to the new product and everything. I'm like, oh, cool, that's what I'm looking for. So I got to the interview, and the manager told me that, yeah, this is a legacy code base, and just out of the blue, he asked me, yeah, do you know Cold Fusion? I'm like, no. Like, he's like, how do you feel about if you had to work in Code Fusion? What would you do? And I'm like, I guess I'd look it up on Google. Like, why would you ask that? It's just an odd question to ask. So immediately I didn't get a call back. I'm like, why would they call me back? They're looking for somebody who knows how to write in Cold Fusion, but yet the job posting had .NET. That's just some of the stuff that you may see. I've seen it, and it was a big company. Like, it's not like it was some suspect small startup thing. It was a large company, like a reputable company, and they did that. And this is what is probably the case with this. So definitely, if you apply to this job, you have to ask about what that means, what the legacy code system means, because it's an entirely different programming style. Like, if you are making something new, that's great. But if you are taking a legacy code system and contributing to that, or converting it to maybe .NET or C#, which is probably what the case is here, it's a different way of programming. That's more of just, deconstructing the code and just writing it in something else, which is a little bit different and something that you might not want to do. And also, I'm kind of surprised that they want a junior developer for this, to be honest, because, okay, think about it. Like, I'm 24. The odds of me knowing an antiquated language like Visual Basic, Cold Fusion are pretty slim to none, because they don't teach you any of that, and I have no incentive to learn that. So it's kind of surprising. Anyway, so education and experience is 3 to 5 years experience in software industry. So if you have 5 years is not a junior developer. It's not. It's some companies consider that to be a senior developer. So I mean, take that with a grain of salt for sure. This seems like a company that is just trying to get people to migrate their legacy code to a new system. At least that's the impression that I get. And it doesn't make any mention of salary. So I will say that typically, at least from what I've seen personally, it seems like the companies that work in the legacy code pay a little bit more just because less people work in it. Like one company recently I was talking to, their salary range was like 80 to 90,000, but pretty much the entire product was in Visual Basic. So you're probably not gonna learn that anymore. Really, there's not really much incentive to, except if you're planning to work in a legacy code base. So just keep that in mind if it's something that interests you. But just be very careful when you see this legacy code systems. So that's all I got for that one. Let's go to the last one here. This is not specifically a junior developer position, but this is advertised as full stack developer or software engineer and remote, working for a company, Corkworks Inc. Man, can you imagine working there? I can't even say I'll be saying like Quackworks the whole time working there. It gives you a salary range. Well, I mean, take that for a grain of salt. It's not probably set in stone. 50 to 95,000 a year, which that's a big range. I mean, I don't know what the cost of living is like in Missouri, but it's a pretty sizable range for a salary. So they tell you right off the bat, 401k, 1% matching, which is low. If 1% matching in 401k is low, usually you should shoot for somewhere around 3%, which is pretty standard for larger companies. 1% is super low. That's really low. Health and dental and signing. So I guess you get a signing bonus and yearly bonuses. So yearly bonuses are nice, but something to make sure you understand about yearly bonuses. Bonuses are taxed at a flat rate of, I think, 22%. So they're taxed they're going to be taxed probably more than most of your income. So just keep that in mind when you hear these bonuses. You pretty much just take your bonus and just take a fourth out of that, and that's pretty much what your bonus is going to be. So it's probably in your interest a little bit to just have a higher salary right off the bat, rather than have a very large bonus, because more of that's going to be taxed. So this place here, they do all TypeScript stuff. So you're probably going to be working in TypeScript, React. If you've ever seen like .tsx files, that's what that is. Backend is all JavaScript stuff. So Node, Socket, Express, which that can get kind of confusing working in some of that stuff. Honestly, I try to avoid JavaScript backends. I don't like that stuff. Not especially not after working in .NET. There's just no way I'm going to that. The interesting part, which is why I'm talking about this, is the remote spot here. So it says location. The first option is remote, so available to seasoned developers. Doesn't tell you what seasoned developers is. It just tells you seasoned developers. And we would like you to visit for the first 1 to 2 weeks to get familiar with the team. And 2 to 4 times a year normally, we will pay travel expenses. The problem I have with this is, my assumption on reading this is they probably want you to come for each quarterly meeting, come up, meet the team, whatever, working there. 4 times a year is a lot of times. I mean, unless you like traveling, but I don't know. For me, like I don't particularly like traveling, so having to go somewhere in office or meeting 4 times a year, that wouldn't be my first choice. I wouldn't like that, unless the salary was high enough. Just because I don't really like traveling. I don't like doing all that. And they want you to only be a seasoned developer to that. That's kind of a red flag for me, just because it seems like they probably wouldn't trust a junior developer to work remote. On site, they have that whole 2 to 3 day in office policy, and then whatever else remote. That's the reason I pointed this out is this is probably the situation that you're going to be facing whenever you apply to a job nowadays, especially after the past year. Pretty much every company is shifting to this model, whatever you call it. But the problem is that it makes it hard to find an actually full-time remote job, especially as a junior developer. So just probably be prepared as a junior dev to be working in an office a couple days a week. I know it stinks. Like I'm like, for me, I want to be 100% remote full time, and I think that everybody should, or at least should have that option if you're a developer. What we see is it's getting very competitive, especially with full remote jobs. They're just insanely competitive to apply to, and everybody under the sun applies to them, and person with 20 years experience is applying to junior devs just because it has remote. That's the situation we're facing. So it's very hard, and it's also hard. It's hard to negotiate it. And I guess my suggestion, honestly, at this point, would be to apply to just everywhere. Doesn't matter if it's remote. Have the interview, but ask in the interview if it's open to remote, and just like talk like, hey, I think I'm a good fit. I think I fit the requirements. If you need to do a coding test, do the coding test. Show that you can do the job, but say like, hey, I guess my one condition is I would really like to work remote. At least just open the conversation to see if they're interested in it, even if the job wasn't advertised as remote, because I've seen companies now, they can't find people local. People aren't applying, and they have to open it up to remote. So it's like they're taking jobs that they originally didn't anticipate being remote and making them remote. So if you jump in and say, hey, I want to work remote, that just could be a potential option. And so I guess you can try that strategy if you're not finding any remote jobs. It's hard. They're hard to apply to because they fill up super fast. Everybody applies to them. So that's honestly, if I was looking for a job right now, I think that is the approach that I would take, to say like, hey, I know this isn't remote, but are you open to it? Because that's what I I really operate the best when I'm remote. That's my thing about that. What they're looking for is 2 years full stack. So all that stuff. They want you to have some DevOps stuff. They throw in the quick machine learning at the end there, whatever that means. I feel like companies just put machine learning everywhere just to sound like they're disruptive. How do you like that? Disruptive. I'll sneak in the corporate speak every once in a while to these videos. Anyway, that's all I had. That's the jobs I've been finding. That's pretty standard in terms of junior dev jobs. I mean, you can look. They're just weird. They're just weird requirements now, and especially, I feel like nobody really knows, like what's going to happen, and nobody knows what to do in terms of the remote policy. So they're trying to concoct some crazy hybrid model, and it just seems so complicated, does it not? I mean, it just seems like we should just allow. Okay, is it working? Great. Stay remote until everything is squared away. Just stay remote until numbers drop, of the sick. It just wouldn't that work better? I don't know. That's my opinion. But thank you for watching the video. If you have any more jobs like this, I don't know. Check them out. Make sure you read them thoroughly and make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. Make sure they don't want you to be a Cold Fusion developer when they advertise as C#, like what happened to me. So thank you for watching the video. Really appreciate it. I'm going to have a video coming up again soon. So thanks for watching. Bye.